was called to discuss Joe's present level of performance and the annual goals his IEP team hopes he can accomplish in 2012. Before we begin, I want to introduce everyone to Ms. Hernandez. I am Ms. DeHeis, the school principal. This is Ms. McConaughey, Joe's English teacher, Ms. Branner, Joe's math teacher, Mr. Rowland, Joe's counselor, and Ms. Martin, our special education teacher. Let's begin by looking at Joe's present level of performance. Ms. Martin, why don't you start?
All right. Joe has a lot of strengths. He is extremely hardworking and is diligent with his assignments. Although there are a few behavior issues, Joe is a very polite individual and listens intently in class and is always punctual. Recently, Joe was given 2 personal assessments which indicated he wants to work with cars and has problems with large groups and would prefer a small work environment. We'll discuss the transitional activities we have formulated later. Joe currently needs 28 credits to graduate, and he was given the Woodcock-Johnson in September to evaluate his current skills and comprehension. I'll now open the dialogue to Joe's teachers to discuss the findings.
All right, well, first I'd like to say that Joe is an excellent student and shows complex thinking skills and an aptitude for learning. His grammar and verb tense need a little work, but I'm very confident that he will succeed given the proper instruction and motivation. Presently, Joe is struggling with written language, spelling, and sentence syntax. He was given the Woodcock-Johnson test earlier in the year, and his skills were about 1 level below where they should be for his grade level. Currently, he's in a writer's workshop with an emphasis on writing skills, and he's practicing completing timed essays for the high school proficiency exam, which he'll take in the spring.
Thank you, Ms. McConaughey, Ms. Branner, and
So Joe has expressed to me that he enjoys math and he wants to increase his level of understanding this year. Currently, he's exactly 1 level below where he needs to be in calculation and applied math. Joe should be doing, working on increasing his math skills, working on symbols, vocabulary, math concepts. This will be beneficial to Joe in his transfer into math in the workplace, which will give him the skills that he needs to be successful, both on the standardized tests as well as vocational training.
And Mr. Rowland?
Yeah, Joe has a great attendance record, and he has told me that he really enjoys school. The behavioral issues we are currently working on are his solitary behavior, his stress in large crowds, and his anger management. So we're going to be working on that.
Joe, do all of these statements adequately reflect how you feel you are doing currently?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's continue and discuss Joe's annual goals, evaluations, procedures, and finally his transitional planning. We can go in the same order, and Ms. Martin, you can follow those school goals.
Okay, by the end of this academic year, Joe's goals are to increase his standardized testing scores by 1 full grade level in language, punctuation, and sentence structure. Joe will be given support through word banks, spelling word booklet, content outlines, and he'll have more time to complete his work. We can give him proofreading accommodations and directions given both verbally and written. I'm monitoring Joe weekly by giving him those timed essays and spelling tests, and I'll report his progress on his quarterly report card.
Okay, Ms. Branner?
So Joe's goals in math are also to increase his standardized test scores by 1 grade level. Joe will need to increase his applied math skills by doing the Math Excel program using manipulatives. In order to do so, the accommodations will be given to Joe to ensure his success. We'll be using multimodality instruction, extra completion time, directions will be given orally, and we'll be using a handheld calculator to assist you. I'm evaluating Joe's efforts weekly, and then quizzes will be getting gradually harder so that we can assess that he's at the appropriate level by spring.
And Mr. Rowland, what do you have to share?
Yeah, in regards to Joe's behavioral goals, this year he's going to be implementing a de-escalating strategy when he becomes overly stressed or angry. I have discussed the accommodations with his teachers, and he's going to be given extra cool down time if he gets angry, and also a chance to redirect himself to the proper behavior when he becomes stressed or angry. We also recommend that Joe join a club of his choice to help him integrate into group settings outside the classroom. I will evaluate Joe's ability to maintain his composure by monitoring in classes and club activities personally, as well as having his teachers record their findings to me and give them to me every week. He will need to demonstrate his appropriate behavior 4 out of 5 times in order to meet his target. I will call you Mrs. Hernandez every month to verify this information about Joe's performance and give you a detailed analysis on his quarterly report cards.
Very well. Now, Ms. Martin, what are Joe's transitional activities?
Joe was given a student interest survey earlier this year, which indicated his interest in entering the automotive and service industry. Joe was also given a one-on-one interview where he stressed his desire to become an auto mechanic. It is therefore the belief of this team that Joe should strive to enter into a vocational program after high school and get his mechanic's license. In order to do so, Joe will attend a vocational technical school information session later this year and will complete at least one application to a local technical school. Joe will also need to participate in a 3-week job shadowing at a local auto mechanic shop, which can be set up through the school after he has completed the informative session. In order to qualify for these programs, Joe will need to complete a minimum of 3 hours of volunteer work through a school-affiliated organization. Finally, Joe will enroll in a personal finance class to ensure he can maintain an independent living status during and or after his training.
Thank you, everyone. Ms. Hernandez, do you have any questions about our goals for your son this year? Joe?
No.